I was utterly blindsided when my husband suddenly declared that unless our house was transferred solely into his name, he would consider divorce. To me, this house is more than just walls and a roof. It's a treasure trove of cherished family memories, and the thought of losing it is unbearable. My emotional bond with our home made his ultimatum feel like a cruel manipulation of my feelings. In my turmoil, I sought comfort from my father. My name is Patricia, and I'm a 32-year-old full-time housewife. Since marrying Terry 3 years ago, I have devoted myself entirely to managing our household, leaving my job to support our home life while he has taken on the role of primary breadwinner. Our lives took a difficult turn after the passing of Terry's father, which unexpectedly led to his mother moving in with us. I was given only a day's notice about her arrival, which was jarring enough. Just as I was beginning to adjust to this sudden shift, Terry casually announced that my mother would also be moving in the very next day. He dropped this bombshell after coming home from work, expecting me to make the necessary preparations. I was dumbfounded. I had thought her visit would be temporary, but now it seemed she was here for the long haul, and I had no say in the matter. When she arrived, my mother-in-law carried an air of dissatisfaction. She immediately berated me for not picking her up from the station, insisting it was common sense, given the length of her journey. Caught off guard, I explained that I hadn't known her arrival time, to which she replied I should have called to check. Her criticism stung. "You're so thoughtless," she scolded, adding, "This is why people say some in-laws are useless and inconsiderate." Despite being a guest in my home, she settled heavily onto the sofa, her displeasure evident from the start, as if she owned the place. I was taken aback. From that day forward, her snide comments became more frequent and cutting. Each morning, as soon as Terry left for work, she would unleash her barrage. "Patricia, why are you just sitting there? Do the dishes. You should have finished the laundry by now, that's just common sense." I would apologize and explain that I would do the laundry once the dishes were done, only to be met with, "You have your priorities wrong." In my house, we did laundry right after breakfast. Haven't your parents taught you not to make excuses? I had my daily routine established long before she moved in, but Kayla seemed unable to understand that. It didn't matter how closely I followed her directives. She always found fault and complained incessantly. The hours I spent alone with her during the day became increasingly difficult. One day, a revelation struck me as a way to escape this living nightmare. The house I had inherited from my father. He had retired early a few months ago, and my parents had started a new life in the countryside, passing their home on to me. Thankfully, it wasn't too far from our current apartment, and Terry and I had discussed moving there eventually. Driven to my limits by living with my mother-in-law, I knew it was time to bring up the idea of moving sooner rather than later. "Terry, can we talk for a minute?" I asked one evening. "What's up? Did something happen?" he replied, looking concerned. "Do you remember the house my father gave us? What do you think about moving there?" "Oh, that house. We had talked about moving there someday. Why the sudden interest?" "I've been having some serious difficulties with your mother. She might not have said anything, but I can't stand living with her any longer. The new place isn't too far, so I thought it could be a solution. This way, your mother can stay in the current apartment." To my surprise, Terry agreed to the move. After telling Kayla about our decision, we set a date for the following week. Honestly, I expected her to object, but instead, she accepted it with surprising cheer. "Goodbye, Terry and Patricia. I'm so sorry for the sudden decision to move," she said, her smile bright. "Don't worry about it," Terry replied, clearly relieved. "It's generous of your dad to give us the house," Kayla remarked, still smiling. "Thank you, and please come visit us soon," I replied. "Of course, we're not that far away, and I'd love for you to visit us regularly," she added, her tone filled with hopeful anticipation. "I will," I promised her. After concluding our conversation, my husband and I moved into our new home. A wave of relief washed over me at the thought of finally escaping Kayla's biting remarks. In our new space, I could live freely, setting my own routines. Initially, I had worried about how Kayla might react, but discussing the move with Terry had calmed my nerves. However, this newfound peace was short-lived. Despite the distance allowing me to alleviate my stress, Terry began coming home later and later. It wasn't just occasional late nights. There were entire nights when he didn't come home at all. He justified his absences by saying he was concerned for his mother, but his frequent disappearances started to disrupt my life significantly. This can't go on, I thought to myself one day. It was time for a serious conversation. "Terry, you've been coming home really late lately, and sometimes you don't come home at all," I began. "Is that so?" he replied, sounding indifferent. "I'm worried about my mother," I said, trying to express my concern. "That's not the issue here," I asserted firmly. "At the very least, you should let me know if you're going to be late. I don't want to wait up for you or waste time preparing dinner unnecessarily." "Well, since you're a housewife and always at home, you can just eat the leftovers for lunch the next day," he suggested without much thought. "Are you saying I should just accept everything silently because I'm a housewife? You think we shouldn't even talk about this? You really believe housewives have it easy at home?" he shot back, leaving me stunned. What are you even saying? I responded, hurt and frustrated. And besides, I'm concerned about leaving my mother alone. Amy will be coming back soon, and I need to discuss some things with her, he added, diverting the topic. Wait, Amy is coming back? What do you need to discuss with her? My curiosity mixed with anxiety as I pressed for more information. We're moving Amy in here to live with us. She's always wanted a big house like the one she had abroad, so I thought it would be a good idea to let her stay here, Terry explained, almost nonchalantly. What? I exclaimed, completely blindsided by this sudden revelation. Is my sister-in-law going to live in our house? I felt overwhelmed, struggling to process this unexpected twist. Just when I thought I had found some relief from Kayla's relentless criticisms, another challenge emerged. My husband was casually announcing that his sister Amy would be moving in with us. I was stunned. This house wasn't just any property, it was the home I had inherited from my father, and it felt completely wrong to hand it over. It's the only spacious house that would satisfy Amy, Terry reasoned. The apartment where my mother stays is too cramped for 4 people. But I never planned for us to live with Amy. I intended to give this house to her, I protested. What? Why? I gasped, struggling to grasp his reasoning. Because we plan to move back in with my mother, Amy can use this house freely, he explained, as if it were a perfectly logical decision. His proposal felt outrageous, and I was on the verge of fainting, despite my clear refusal to live with my mother-in-law again. My husband's irritation was mounting. Can't you be a little more understanding? You live off my support, so just do as I say. This house is wasted on you, he snapped. Why should I just give it to Amy? This house means everything to me. It was inherited from my father, I shot back. I've already told Amy I've got her a large house. It's too late to change it now, he continued, treating the matter as if it were already settled without my consent. You made all these decisions without even consulting me. I can't accept this, I replied, struggling to keep my composure. Enough, calm down and think it over. I'm going back to my mother's for a while, he said angrily before slamming the door behind him. Alone, I broke down in tears, grappling with the reality that my husband would make such unilateral decisions. It was unthinkable that he would give away the house I had inherited from my father to my sister-in-law. From that day on, he bombarded me with messages, checking if I had calmed down and urging me to return. Each time, I stood firm, reiterating my refusal to comply with his plans. Then, one day, he dropped another bombshell over the phone. Hey, Patricia, when are you coming back to live with me? Stop nagging. I've said it 100 times, I have no intention of living with Kayla, moving there, or giving this house to Amy. I've already told her, stop being selfish. His words only strengthened my resolve to stand my ground. Shocked by his blatant disregard for my feelings and our life together, I responded, she might be coming back this week, so there's no time to waste. Why should I give up my house for your family? This is my father's legacy. Don't make decisions without my input. Who do you think you're talking to? I shot back, my voice shaking with frustration. Even my mother was furious about the situation, echoing my sentiments. That's not my problem, you're ignoring my feelings, I countered firmly. His heavy sigh on the other end of the line conveyed his mounting frustration. Then, he said something that struck me to my core. If you can't listen to me, then let's get a divorce, hand the house over to Amy and leave by tomorrow. In that moment, any lingering affection I had for him vanished. The thought of him wielding divorce as a threat, without any regard for my feelings, was utterly despicable. I couldn't forgive him for using such a threat with a tone of arrogance. Listen, if you don't leave by tomorrow, I will divorce you. That's final, he added. Wait, are you serious? I asked, incredulous. Of course, you don't have a choice. What will you do if you, a housewife, get divorced? You won't survive, he taunted. Enough, I get it, I snapped back. Hurry up and move over here. My mother is looking forward to putting you in your place. He hung up, his tone dripping with confidence as if he believed I would comply. But after that call, my determination solidified. I decided to seek help from my father to devise a plan. By the next day, everything was in place for my move. By the way, I'm curious, when will Amy be back? I asked him calmly. She'll be back tomorrow. Why are you so obsessed with Amy? He replied, suspicion creeping into his voice. Between you and me, she seems to have made a nice sum from stock investments, I mentioned casually. I see, so if you provide her with a house, maybe you can ask for financial help, he suggested, trying to justify his stance. That's just like you, I shot back. Anyway, you need to leave that house today. It's inconvenient for everyone. Don't worry, I've already moved, I stated coolly. What do you mean? He sounded genuinely surprised. I knew it. You don't want to divorce me, do you? Naturally, without an income, you can't survive, he replied, still underestimating my resolve. This is all coming to an end. We're still legally married, and that's the only reason we're having this conversation now, I told him, my voice steady. Wait, what? I can only think about divorce now, I clarified, shocking him with my directness. You promised to move out and live with me, but you've already moved. What are you saying? He stammered, confusion and panic rising in his voice. Of course I won't live in a house with a husband who makes all the decisions and a domineering mother-in-law. Why are you dragging me into your plans for Amy? I retorted. You promised to move out for Amy, he protested, desperately clinging to his demands. I already told you I've moved, didn't I? Enough with the games. Where are you now? He asked, his tone increasingly frantic. I'm at my parents' house. I've moved to their place in the countryside, and I don't plan on returning to you, I explained calmly, delivering the news I knew would rattle him further. You should have told me this sooner, he replied, his voice a mix of relief and frustration. If you really want to give the house to Amy, here's the deal, it's on the market for $520,000. Buy it for that amount and then hand it over to her, I stated firmly. Are you kidding? I'm serious. The house was still in my father's name, so I asked him to sell it, I clarified, laying out my actions and intentions. My father always told me to contact him if anything happened. I could either live in the house or sell it as I saw fit, and he would support me. After getting it valued, we set the price at $520,000, which I happily agreed to, and we listed it right away. I could tell my husband never expected me to take such decisive action. Why are you doing this without consulting me? This is unforgivable, he spat, anger and disbelief evident in his tone. I'm not asking for your approval, nor do I need it. We're getting divorced soon anyway, and I don't care. Do you understand? Your situation, you're the one who will be in trouble once we separate since you don't have an income. You're just a housewife. He tried to belittle me, assuming I would be helpless without him. I'd rather struggle on my own than remain in this toxic environment, I replied firmly, cutting off his attempts to manipulate me. Listen, Amy will be back soon, he began, but I was no longer interested in his plans or threats. I was resolute, determined to reclaim my independence and dignity. I mentioned before that I was counting on Amy's financial contributions, didn't I? So if you want her to have that house, you'll need to purchase it for $520,000, if you can, I pointed out. What? That's impossible. If Amy has really made a fortune from her investments, I don't see why she couldn't afford it, he countered, clearly taken aback. I'm not sure exactly how much she made, but saying she can't afford it sounds like you're making excuses, I replied, refusing to give in to his lack of accountability while maintaining my assertive stance. Realizing that further discussion was pointless, I made my position clear. I'm done with this chaos you've created. Did you really think that threatening me with divorce would make me give up the house? If you assumed that being a housewife meant I would simply obey, you're sorely mistaken. Let's just calm down and talk this through, he suggested, trying to soften the mood. I am calm. It seems like you're the one panicking. I won't let you or your family control me any longer. Go back to your mother. Stay out of my life, I exclaimed, my voice ringing loud enough for anyone nearby to hear. With that, I abruptly ended the call. Fed up with our constant tumultuous conversations, I blocked his number, sought legal advice, and pursued a divorce. It took time, but eventually, it was granted. Acknowledging my husband's faults, he and Kayla continued to live in that cramped apartment. Meanwhile, Amy, unable to secure the large house she had wanted, expressed her frustration about not receiving what she was promised and returned overseas. My ex-husband's hopes of relying on his sister's financial success crumbled, leaving him struggling to manage his finances under the weight of alimony and the responsibility of supporting his mother. Living with a self-centered mother, his prospects for a better future appeared bleak. In contrast, I moved to the countryside, relishing tranquil days with my parents. Thanks to a neighbor's recommendation, I started a new job as a clerical worker at a local company. This job provided me with financial independence and a sense of fulfillment. I chose to stay close to my parents for the foreseeable future, cherishing the chance to give back to them for all their love and support.